Now that we know how to add integers, lesson 1.6 is on subtracting integers. And this can be really easy if you get the idea that in order to subtract an integer, you just need to add its opposite. And then it follows all the same rules that we have for adding integers. So for example, if you had 4 minus 8, it's the same exact thing as 4 plus negative 8. So we're adding the opposite of 8, which is negative 8. So 4 plus negative 8, we then follow the rules, and it's going to be negative 4. It can be shown algebraically with variables saying a minus b is equal to a plus negative b. So let's go through another example together on subtracting integers. So if we had 9 minus 20, we could rewrite that as 9 plus negative 20. So then you subtract 20 and add its opposite. In order to subtract 20, you add its opposite, negative 20. And then we would get our negative 11 when you add 9 and negative 20 together. Another example would be 10 minus negative 3. So this is going to become, we're going to add it, and it's positive. So whenever you have two, a negative and a minus next to each other, it always comes just a positive, because the opposite of negative 3 is 3, and we're changing the subtraction sign to an addition sign. So then you should be able to easily do 10 plus 3 was 13. And the last example is, what if we had a negative number minus another negative number? Well, here again, we have these two together, which is going to become a plus sign. So negative 6 plus 4 equals negative 2. So I want you to try a few problems on your own. So press pause now and work out the problems here on the right from 1 through 4. A second example is now, what if we have a variable? So I want you to complete the following problems when y is equal to negative 19. If you want to try them on your own, feel free to press pause now and then watch as we go through them. So in the first step, we can say negative 37 minus y. We can substitute negative 19 for the y. So we have negative 37 minus negative 19, but now we want to change it to an addition problem, so it's no longer subtraction. So we have negative 37 plus negative 19's opposite, which is positive 19. And now we're able to complete this problem by adding. We can add negative 37 and 19 to get negative 18. The second problem is y minus 20. So again, we're going to substitute negative 19 for y. So we have negative 19 minus 20. We then want to make it an addition problem. So we're going to add its opposite, so negative 19 plus negative 20. They have the same sign, so according to the rules for adding integers, we can add the absolute values of both and then keep the sign. So we get negative 39. So here's a few example problems for you to try. Evaluate the following 4 problems when m is equal to negative 8. Press pause now and work it out on your own. And lastly, let's try a word problem to evaluate the change in something. So in this case, they're talking about elevation. So Mount Whitney in California has an elevation of 14,494 feet above sea level. So whenever we're saying above sea level, this is a positive. Death Valley in California has an elevation of 282 feet below sea level. So this is going to be a negative number because it's below. What is the difference between these elevations? So whenever we see the difference, we know it's a subtraction problem. So the first step is write a verbal model. So the difference in elevation is equal to the elevation of Mount Whitney minus the elevation of Death Valley. We can then substitute the numbers in for Mount Whitney and Death Valley. So 14,494 minus negative 282. But we don't subtract integers when we have negative numbers. We make it into an addition problem by adding its opposite. So now we get 14,494 plus 282, and we get a difference of 14,776 feet total. So I want you to try the following problems to find the change in temperature or elevation. So use the example above to help you figure it out. But when you're going from this, so this is the initial temperature, to this is the final temperature. And then we have some elevation problems. Bring these problems and any questions you may have to class tomorrow so we can go over anything that's unclear. You can also use your book or study guide as a resource to help. And remember, all of this needs to be added into your math rules notebook so you have it for the upcoming quiz and throughout the year, because at the final, at the end of the year, you will be able to use this, and it'll be helpful to be able to go back to these initial lessons.